Night fell, enveloping the world in a blanket of darkness. The forest stood still as if holding its breath. A hush fell over the world, a silence so profound it seemed to echo through the trees. The usual nocturnal symphony of crickets and owls was absent, replaced by an eerie stillness. The moon, usually a beacon of silver light, began to glow an eerie red. It was as if the very essence of the night had been tainted, corrupted by some unseen force. Like a watchful eye, it pulsed with a malevolent energy, casting long, distorted shadows across the land. These shadows seemed to move on their own, twisting and writhing as if alive. This was not the moon humanity knew. This was something different. It felt ancient, otherworldly, as if it had witnessed countless horrors throughout the ages. The air grew heavy, thick with a palpable dread. A dense fog began to roll in, shrouding the landscape in a suffocating embrace. Breathing became difficult, each inhalation filled with the taste of fear. Animals scurried into hiding, sensing the unnatural shift in the atmosphere. Birds fell silent, and even the insects ceased their incessant chirping. The forest was alive with the tension of impending doom. An unsettling silence descended, broken only by the rustling of leaves in the unnatural wind. This wind carried whispers, faint and unintelligible, as if the very air was trying to communicate a warning. This night, the night the moon bled, was a night for the unspeakable to occur. It was a night that would be remembered in hushed tones, a night when the boundary between the known and the unknown blurred and the shadows came alive. Elias, a solitary traveler, trudged along the desolate highway. He was miles from any town, guided only by the unsettling red glow of the moon. He had heard whispers of this night, dismissed them as old wives' tales. Now he wasn't so sure. The wind carried an unfamiliar chill that pierced through him. Shadows danced at the edge of his vision, twisting and contorting into monstrous shapes. The silence was broken by a low growl, distant but getting closer. Fear, primal and instinctive, began to claw its way into Elias's heart. In a remote cabin nestled deep within the woods, Sarah huddled by the fireplace. The flames flickered, casting dancing shadows on the walls, mimicking the unsettling pulsating of the blood-red moon outside. She was alone, or so she thought. Whispers, faint and indistinct, seemed to emanate from the walls. They slithered around her, weaving tales of fear and despair. A cold draft snaked through the room, and the hairs on her arms stood on end. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, morphing into guttural growls that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Deep in the bowels of an ancient, forgotten temple where time itself seemed to stand still, a cloaked figure stood before a crude altar. The figure's cloak was tattered and worn, a testament to countless rituals performed in this forsaken place. The air was thick with the scent of incense and something ancient and altogether unpleasant. The smoke curled and twisted, creating ghostly shapes that seemed to dance in the dim light. The figure, bathed in the crimson light filtering through a skylight, raised a ceremonial dagger. The dagger was intricately carved, its blade shimmering with an eerie glow. The dagger, reflecting the light of the blood moon, glinted ominously. The moon's light seemed to imbue the blade with a sinister energy, as if it were alive. A low chant emanated from the figure, the sound reverberating through the temple's ancient stone walls. The chant was rhythmic, almost hypnotic, drawing the listener into a trance-like state. The words were ancient and indecipherable, a language long forgotten by the world. Each syllable seemed to carry a weight of its own, resonating with a power that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. A shudder ran through the very foundation of the temple, as if the structure itself were reacting to the ritual. The walls seemed to pulse with a life of their own, responding to the ancient incantations. A tremor that echoed the unsettling pulse of the moon above. The moon, full and blood-red, cast an eerie glow over the landscape, its light flickering like a heartbeat. Tonight, an offering was to be made. The altar was prepared meticulously, every item placed with precision. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the very atmosphere were holding its breath, waiting for the ritual to reach its climax. Elias, his heart pounding against his ribs, quickened his pace. The growls were closer now, accompanied by the rhythmic thudding of heavy paws on the asphalt. He risked a glance back and saw it, a hulking silhouette, eyes burning with malevolent red light. Terror lent speed to his feet, but the creature was gaining. He needed shelter, a miracle. Then through the trees he saw a light, the faint, flickering glow of a fire. Hope, fragile but persistent, bloomed in his chest. Sarah, paralyzed with fear, listened as the whispers morphed into screams. The temperature plummeted, and a presence made itself known in the room. It was not a physical presence, but something ancient and evil that chilled her to the very core. She scrambled back from the fireplace, her eyes wide with terror, searching the darkness for the source of the voice. It was everywhere and nowhere, surrounding her, suffocating her. She had to escape. She had to get out. Elias burst through the trees, stumbling towards the light. He slammed into the cabin door, the sound echoing in the stillness of the night. He hammered on the wood, his voice hoarse with terror. "Help me, please, let me in!" Inside, Sarah froze. The whispers, the growls, the presence. All of it seemed to pause, as if startled by the intrusion. She stared at the door, her heart pounding in her chest. Was it help? Or was it just another nightmare in this night of horrors? The cloaked figure in the temple plunged the dagger into the heart of the offering. A blood-curdling scream tore through the night, echoing across the miles. At the same instant, the moon above pulsed with a blinding light, bathing the world in a sea of crimson for a fleeting moment. The connection was undeniable. The ritual, the moon, the creatures, the terror that gripped the hearts of those beneath the blood-red sky. It was all intertwined, part of something far older and more sinister than anyone could have imagined. As the first rays of dawn began to chase away the shadows, a sense of uneasy tranquility settled over the land. The night had been long and filled with terrors, but now with the dawn came a fragile hope. The light pierced through the fog, revealing the aftermath of the night's events. The moon, drained of its crimson hue, slipped below the horizon, taking with it the eerie glow that had bathed the land in an otherworldly light. It was as if the moon itself was retreating from the horrors it had witnessed, seeking refuge beyond the horizon. The creatures vanished, the whispers ceased, and an unsettling calm settled over the land. The forest, once alive with sinister movements and hushed voices, now stood silent and empty. Meadows that had been filled with eerie quiet were now just quiet, and abandoned villages began to emerge from the fog, their secrets still hidden. But the events of the night lingered, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of reality. The mist that clung to the forest seemed to whisper of the horrors that had transpired, and the haunted house at the edge of the village stood as a testament to the night's terror. Were Elias and Sarah safe? Their faces, etched with worry, told a story of fear and uncertainty. They had faced unimaginable horrors, and now in the light of dawn they could only hope that the worst was behind them. But doubt lingered in their eyes, a silent question that begged for answers. What became of the cloaked figure and their unholy ritual? The memory of the figure, shrouded in darkness, performing rites that defied comprehension, haunted the survivors. The ritual had been interrupted, but its purpose and consequences remained a mystery. The figure's silhouette, now just a memory, cast a long shadow over their thoughts. And what was the true nature of the connection between the blood moon and the horrors that unfolded beneath its baleful gaze? The blood-red moon had been a harbinger of doom, its presence signaling the start of the nightmare. The ritual site, now abandoned, held secrets that begged to be uncovered. The forest, under the moon's crimson light, had been a place of unspeakable terror. The answers, like the shadows themselves, remained elusive, hidden in the darkness that awaited the next blood moon. The landscape, now bathed in the light of dawn, still held the echoes of the night's events. The path ahead was uncertain, and the shadows that crept over the land seemed to promise that the horrors were far from over. As the survivors looked to the future, they knew that the next blood moon would bring with it another night of terror, and the unanswered questions would continue to haunt them.